Okay, perfect. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I hope my audio visuals are clear to each and everyone. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, in the chat box that all the audio visuals, everything is clear as of now. So I just need a thumbs up in my chat box. The audio visuals, everything is clear. Isha, Gayatri, perfect, perfect, bache. Perfect, perfect. Yes. So today, we will be starting up with pathology, okay, and I will be completing entire pathology live on YouTube. So I want each and every student to be attentive throughout. Maintain a notebook, write the notes along with me, and I guarantee you, you will not miss a single question in the exam. Everything will be like covered. Everything will be covered. So what I want from you people is you have to be like attentive throughout my lecture. You have to write notes along with me. Okay. So I hope everything is fine as of now. Deepak, from my side, it is fine. Just please check at your end because all the things like all the settings, technical team has already worked out so well. Okay. So we will be starting with the pathology. And in pathology, the very first topic that I'm going to start, it is cell injury and cellular adaptations. We are going to start with cell injury and cellular adaptations. So yes, guys, perfect. So whenever we talk about the term pathology first, okay, just let us start from the hierarchy. You already know that. What is the basic unit of life, guys? What is the basic unit of our body? It is the cell. It is the cell. You already know that cell combines and tissues are formed. Okay, tissues are basically group of similar cells that are performing same functions and they have the same origin. They are called as tissues. So the basic unit of life, it is the cell. Okay, cells combine and form tissues. Tissues combine and form organs. Okay, tissues combine and form organs. Then we have organ system in our body. We have organ system in our body, and ultimately it results in the skeletal framework or the body we have. So cell is the basic unit of life. You already know it is the structural functional unit of life. Everyone knows this. Okay, it is the basic or the structural functional unit of life. Okay, structural functional unit of life. Now, guys, remember diseases that are taking place in our body. Okay, whatever diseases are taking place in our body at microscopic level, basically to see any particular cell or tissue you need a microscope. So any particular disease that is taking place in our body, okay, at microscopic level, that is actually what is termed as pathology. We are going to study about diseases, and that diseases which is taking place either due to dysfunction of any cell or any tissue. Okay, so we will write this our notes. We will write this in our notes. Okay, so remember that disease taking place in human body, in human body at microscopic level. Now when I say that microscopic, I clearly mean that we are talking about the cells and the tissues at microscopic level, because tissues or cells are not functioning properly. Just a moment. Yeah, yeah. Tissues or cells are not functioning properly. Now, when I say that tissues and cells are not functioning properly, it clearly means it can be due to any cell damage. It can be due to, DT stands for due to, short form. आज बता रहा हूँ, आगे से जब भी lectures लूंगा, I will not tell that. ओके, आज बता रहा हूँ, आगे से जब भी लेक्चर्स लूंगा आई विल नॉट टेल इट. ओके, तो यस, it is due to cell damage or not able to function properly. When the cells are not able to function properly, okay, because due to any cell damage which can occur due to any etiological factor, any etiological factor, it can be like physical factors, okay, it can be less amount of oxygen, that is hypoxia. It results in cell injury, okay, and whenever there is a cell injury, the tissues or the cells are not able to perform their function, and in turn it results in disease. So cell injury is commonly, we can write it now over here, that it is the effect of variety of stresses due to various etiological agents. Due to various etiological agents. So it is all the so cell injury is basically defined as the effect of variety of stresses. Okay, due to various etiological agents. I will be discussing the causes of the cell injury. Okay, in another few seconds. So what are the causes which can lead to cell dysfunction or cells not functioning properly? So I will be discussing that. Okay, I hope it's clear now. I hope it's clear now. Danish, Navy, बच्चे just check beta if it's clear now. Yes. Rinsha, Siddhi, Osama, perfect. Beta, just give me a thumbs up that you all have written this particular slide and you understood it well, so that I can move on to the next part. So in this slide, I have just discussed about the concept of the cell injury, the basic unit of life, that is the cell and tissues, and any disease that is occurring at this particular level, okay, at microscopic level. So that we are going to study in pathology. Yes. Vidhi, Nezi, Siddhi, Hasnain, सन्यासी, perfect, perfect बेटा, perfect. डॉक्टर दयाल, कंचनदीप, बच्चे फटाफट से एक थम्स अप देने में भी तुम लोगों के ना हाथ में पता नहीं क्या जंग लग जाता है. आई नो इट्स दीपावली, like, but still if you are taking out time to study this, I mean it's well enough. Good, perfect. Pratap, Prakshit, Shubham, very good beta. Chal. Now, okay, I have a question for you people. Can anyone tell me what are the components of the cell? A basic question. What are the components of the cell? I'm waiting for your answers, guys. I am just Osama, Mayank. Yes. Sanyasi, very good. Very good. I'm waiting for your answers, guys. What are the various cell organelles? Yeah. What are the various cell organelles? Okay. Sure. Yes, Osama, you're perfectly right. It is the nucleus, cytoplasm, organelles. Okay, perfect. Nucleus, cell wall, plasma membrane. Very good. Very good. Isha, very good. Nucleus, mitochondria. Very good, DJ. Perfect. Yes. I mean, you guys are just fantastic, everyone. So remember that, you know that whenever we talk about a cell, we know that we have the outermost covering of the cell. It is called as the plasma membrane. It is called as the plasma membrane, or it is also called as the cell membrane. It is also called as the cell membrane. Yes. We have the Golgi apparatus. Perfectly fine, beta. Perfectly fine. Yeah. So inside it, we have the nucleus. I'm just drawing a very hand-free diagram for you people. We have the nucleus. We have the Golgi apparatus. Okay. We okay. We have the mitochondria. Okay. We have the mitochondria. We have multiple organs. Okay. So now my point is to tell you people What are the cell organelles that are affected during cell injury? Whenever there is an injury to the cell, almost all the structure, all the organelles of the cells are disturbed or they are destroyed. But majority, guys, you should mention in your notes, it is the plasma membrane. It is the plasma membrane, mitochondria, mitochondria. Can anyone tell me in the chat box? Mitochondria is also called as the dash. I'm waiting for your answers. Meanwhile, I complete my statements. I want the answers in the chat box. Yes, centrosome, very perfect. Yes, sir. Okay. I'm waiting for the answers. Mitochondria is also called as the dash. Yes. Yes, Priya Darshini beta perfect. It is also called as the powerhouse of the cell. So in case if there is any injury to the cell, mitochondria will be affected. Yeah. And what will in turn happen if the mitochondria is affected? What is the function of the mitochondria, guys? Sure. I'm asking you the function of the mitochondria. And in an cell injury, if the mitochondria is affected, what will happen? If everyone is right, beta, Prakash, Vidhi, Joshu, Rimsha, no ATP, perfect KK. Yeah, ATP formation will decrease or there will be less ATP production. Yes, perfectly fine. ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. And if there is mitochondrial dysfunction, the ATP production will decrease. Very good, beta. Very good. Everyone is like perfect. Sanyasi, Hasnain, Prakash, Jas, Osama, Kuranshu, Prikshit, Priyadarshini, Rimsha, Dayal, Asif. Perfect. I cannot read out all the names, but yeah, majority of you are answering the question. It's like very good, beta. Nucleus and remember, endoplasmic reticulum. So majority in like the cell organelles which are affected during any injury to the cell, it is the plasma membrane, mitochondria, nucleus, and the endoplasmic reticulum. Now, can anyone tell me endoplasmic reticulum is of two types, and out of these two types, which is involved in the protein synthesis? I want the answer in the chat box if you know, guys. Yeah, protein synthesis is affected. I want to know, yeah, endoplasmic reticulum contains two types. It is of two types, and which one is associated with protein synthesis? Yes, the very first answer, Kanchandeep, very good. Yeah, it is the rough endoplasmic reticulum which is involved in the protein synthesis. Yes, perfect. Hilal, Usama, Prikshit, Isha, Priyanshi, DJ, but two, very good, beta. Perfect. Sure, perfect. Answers are like coming very good. So this is the second part that I have completed right now. Earlier I have discussed the concept of the cell injury. Now I have discussed the cell organelles which are affected during the cell injury. And now the third one that is the most important for today's class. It is the causes of the cell injury. So I hope till now everything is clear, guys. Just give me a thumbs up. Everyone is right as of now. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, that you all are like ready to master the causes of the cell injury with me. Yes. Okay, Priyanshi, perfect, beta. Perfect. Dayal, Kanchandeep, just perfect, guys. Okay. Yeah, rough endoplasmic reticulum, Rimsha, late answers आ रहे हैं. चलो, perfect. Okay. चलो, बाय नहीं, अब तो start करेंगे. चलो. The causes of the cell injury, the very first one, that is the hypoxia. That is the hypoxia. Now remember, guys, hypoxia. What do you understand by the term hypoxia? Hypo means less or decrease in the levels of oxygen. In the levels of oxygen. Less or decrease in the levels of oxygen, guys. Yes, everyone is low. Everyone is right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is the decrease in the oxygen levels. Okay. Now remember, this question has been asked multiple number of times in the exam, that what is the most common? Here MC stands for most common. भावनाओं में मत बहिएगा, ये MC का मतलब वो नहीं है जो आप लोग सोच रहे हैं. MC means most common. Okay. तो अब मैं जब भी MC लिखूंगा, it means मेडिकल वालों के लिए ये मोस्ट कॉमन है, तो अब आप ऐसे ही लिखेंगे, इट इज द मोस्ट कॉमन कॉज ऑफ सेल इंजरी. राइट डाउन दिस, इट इज द मोस्ट कॉमन कॉज ऑफ सेल इंजरी. ठीक है, it is the most common cause of cell injury, and put a dollar sign over here. Whenever in my lectures I'm putting a dollar sign, it means that it is a very important line, or this question has been asked, or it is a more it is a more potent question for the upcoming exam. So remember that hypoxia is the most common cause of cell injury. Okay, and another question that I want to discuss with you people, if I ask you simply that what is the most common cause of hypoxia. Now, what is the most common cause of hypoxia? Now, remember, guys, the most common cause of hypoxia, it is ischemia. Ischemia. It is ischemia, and again, put a dollar sign. It is ischemia. Okay. For example, this is a vessel. This is an artery. Okay. For example, this is an artery, and this is an organ, or you can say a cell, or something like that. Artery is carrying the blood. Artery is carrying the blood which is with oxygen, now if suppose this artery is blocked, if this is blocked, so the oxygen will not be able to reach the organ. If this artery is obstructed, okay, so the oxygen entirely will not be able to reach that particular organ. So that is something which is called as ischemia. Okay, there is less supply of oxygen to the tissues. Okay, or I can simply say it is the reduced supply of blood to the cells. Reduced supply of blood to the cells. Blood to the cells. Either due to any obstruction, the blood is not able to go to that particular organ or cell. Ultimately, oxygen will not go, and it can lead to decreased levels of oxygen in that particular organ, and that is the most common cause of any injury to the cell. Okay, so yes, it is the reduced supply of blood to the cells. It is the reduced supply of blood to the cells. Now, the next question, next particular question that has been asked in the exam multiple number of times. So write down that the cells most sensitive, the cells most sensitive to hypoxia means the cells which are more, which are at like कहते हैं ना level 1 पे जो सबसे पहले destroy हो जाता है, which are actually destroyed very fastly, these are most sensitive to that particular thing, any change in oxygen levels. The cells which are more sensitive to hypoxia, yes, it is the neurons, it is the neurons. Prakshit, yes, anemia is also a type of hypoxia. It is called as anemic hypoxia. I will be discussing it in another 2 minutes. Types of hypoxia, Prakshit, don't worry, I will be discussing in another 2 minutes. I'm coming to that, types of hypoxia. But first, the important questions that has been asked in the exams previously. Okay. Another question, the cells which are least sensitive to hypoxia. Least sensitive to hypoxia. Remember, it is the fibroblast and the skeletal muscles. Fibroblast and the skeletal muscles. These are least sensitive to hypoxia. Even though the oxygen concentration in the body or in these cells are decreased, they are least affected. They will not immediately go on for injury process. Okay, so these are the least sensitive cells which are there. Okay, so we have discussed 3 questions over here. Okay, we have discussed 3 particular questions, and these 3 questions, just put a dollar in front of that. And you know, dollar is very important nowadays. That's why, yeah. So I hope even hypoxia can also result from impaired blood supply. Okay. For example, disorders of oxygen carrying RBC, anemia, as Prakshit already told in the chat box, or it can be a carbon monoxide poisoning, if there is any heart disorder, lung disorder, okay, or if there is increased demand of tissues while doing exercises, okay, there is increased demand of oxygen. So ultimately, these can also result in hypoxia. I hope this is clear to each and everyone. I hope this is clear to each and everyone. Just give me a thumbs up so that I can start with the next part, that is the hypoxia and the different types of hypoxia. Yes. Up till now, I hope everyone has written. Yeah. Kanchandeep, it's fine. Very good. Thumbs up. Okay. Mariam, perfect. Perfect. Shubham Rao, Prikshit. Yes. Sheikh, Rimsha, Dinesh. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Perfect, guys. I mean, you all are participating, writing the notes. It's like wonderful. I guarantee you, if you're writing everything, everything will be covered in the notes itself. Don't worry. Okay. Siddhi, Nezi, chal, chal. Perfect. Perfect, beta. Now, hypoxia, I have already told it is simply less oxygen, okay, less oxygen, or I can simply say that the cells or tissues having less oxygen, having less oxygen for utilization, or metabolic process, for utilization or metabolic process. See, there is various metabolism which is occurring in the cell, catabolism, anabolism, खाना बन रहा है, खाना टूट रहा है, energy generate हो रही है. So all the metabolism is going on inside the cell, or if the cell or tissue is like oxygen is the key requirement for all the metabolic process. And if there is less oxygen required, means if there is less oxygen, it is simply the hypoxia, which can lead to cell injury. The metabolism will not take place, and the cell will ultimately die. And the cell will ultimately die. So now, guys, you already know what is the. Let us just draw a simple diagram. You already know this is the windpipe, and we have the lungs. Okay, we have the lungs. You already know whatever oxygen you are inhaling in your body, it is going to the lungs. Okay, it is coming into the lungs. Can anyone tell me what are the functional cells in the lungs? What are the functional cells in the lungs? I'm waiting for your answers, guys. Lungs की cells कौन सी है which are functional, which helps in the gaseous exchange, which help in the gaseous exchange? Can anyone tell me? Yeah, perfect, perfect. Kanchandeep, Siddhi, perfect, beta. It is the alveoli. It is the alveoli. Beta, pleura is तो membrane हो गई बेटा. Yeah, Priyadarshini, pleura is a membrane. Okay, pleura is a membrane. Alveoli is basically the, yeah, cells. Yeah, alveoli are the cells. Okay, so basically these oxygens are stopped by the alveoli. Okay, so we have the alveolar oxygen. Okay, alveoli are the functional unit of the cells and the functional unit of the lungs, and these are containing oxygens, which is further diffusing, or which diffuses into the blood, which diffuses into the blood. Okay, you already know this oxygen will ultimately go to the bloodstream. ब्लड वेसल्स की अगर हम बात करें, अगर हम आर्टरी की बात करें, तो दिस इज द आर्टरी, एंड दिस ऑक्सीजन will go into this artery. Okay, this oxygen will go into this artery, and you already know the blood vessels contain different types of cells. The blood contain different types of cells, and the very first one you already know, it is the RBCs. RBCs. Okay, RBCs basically they contain hemoglobin. RBCs, they contain hemoglobin, and ultimately this oxygen will combine with hemoglobin, and it will result in oxyhemoglobin. Oxygen combined with hemoglobin. Oxygen combined with hemoglobin. So you are very well aware. In the blood we have the blood cells. Blood cells, RBCs, WBCs, platelets are there. Okay, and the plasma. RBCs basically contain hemoglobin. Now this hemoglobin binds with the oxygen. Okay, these hemoglobin binds with the oxygen and results in the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Okay, oxyhemoglobin, and this oxyhemoglobin is further transported to the cells. It is further utilized by the cell or tissues. Okay, so it is further utilized by the cells or tissues for further metabolic process. Oxygen combined with hemoglobin, it is further utilized by the cells and tissues for further metabolic process. So this is how the cycle goes on. You take oxygen, oxygen diffuses into the lungs, okay, through the alveoli, gaseous exchange take place, and this oxygen combines with the hemoglobin that is present in the RBCs, and it results in the formation of oxyhemoglobin, and it further diffuses into the cells or tissues. Okay. Now, based on this, we will talk about the different types of hypoxia. So the next heading, it is the types of hypoxia. Types of hypoxia, that is the most common cause of cell injury. Now, the very first one that we are going to talk about, it is hypoxic hypoxia. Hypoxic hypoxia. Remember, guys, nowadays clinical questions are being framed on these different types of hypoxia. So this topic, I'm putting a dollar sign. All the types of hypoxia should be like scanned in your brain. Okay. Now, whenever we talk about hypoxic hypoxia, hypoxic means where there is naturally the oxygen levels are reduced. Where you can find that? At high altitudes. High altitudes, Ladakh, Kashmir, like hills. So high altitudes, what you will see, there is decreased levels of oxygen naturally in the environment. So ultimately, the population which is living there, they will automatically consume less amount of oxygen. So if there is automatically less oxygen going to the tissues, it will result in hypoxia. That is termed as hypoxic hypoxia. Yeah, oxygen is reduced. Another diseases, just mention it. Another diseases, just mention it. It is COPD. Again saying PCOD मत लिख लेना. PCOD is a gynec problem. Gynecology में आपको दूसरे डॉक्टर पढ़ाएंगे. So मेरे पास एक पेशेंट आया नो. He came to me with a complaints of I have PCOD. तो मैंने उसको बताया PCOD is a female problem sir. तो कह रहा है फिर COPD होगा. So remember guys that PCOD is a gynec problem. गलती से मत लिख लेना. Okay. Yeah. So COPD stands for chronic obstructive. वो गूगल वाले होते हैं ना तो वो ऐसे ही करते हैं. पल्मोनरी डिसीज. क्रोनिक ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव पल्मोनरी डिसीज. और ये तो मोस्ट कॉमन कॉज जो ये सिगरेट वगैरह स्मोकिंग वगैरह करते हो इससे ये सब चीजें होती हैं. क्या इट इज द पल्मोनरी डिसीज. यस. एंड if there is any interstitial lung disease, if there is any interstitial lung disease, if there is any interstitial lung disease, that can also result in hypoxic hypoxia. In further lectures, we will discuss. When I will discuss respiratory pathology with you guys, I will clear these diseases, okay, over there. Just now mention it over here in your notes that these can cause hypoxic hypoxia. Basically, the amount of oxygen going to the tissues is reduced. Okay, so yes. So I hope everyone has written this. I hope everyone has written this. Okay, perfect. I hope everyone has done with it. So I can start up with the next uh, टाइप ऑफ हाइपोक्सिया. सिद्धि परफेक्ट. जस्ट परफेक्ट. बिरफ क्या हो गया सबको रिप्लाई कर नहीं रहे हो बिल्कुल. थम्स अप मुझे चाहिए होता है ना. तुम लोग को पता है व्हेनेवर आई एम टेकिंग अ क्लास लाइव यू हैव टू पार्टिसिपेट. अभी तुम लोग को अपने रिस्पेक्टिव बॉयफ्रेंड्स और गर्लफ्रेंड्स को टेक्स्ट करना हो तो तुम लोग के हाथ इतनी तेजी से चलते हैं मतलब जिसकी कोई जवाब नहीं है जिसका. एंड नाउ टू रिप्लाई ओवर हियर यू आर लाइक almost I think the connections are fine at my ends. Please just check at your ends because आज तो पूरा टेक्निकल टीम बैठा हुआ है सामने ना चेक करने के लिए. So yes. थोड़ा थोड़ा मतलब ना स्पीड बढ़ा लो टाइपिंग की. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Munish is saying GF is not important. That's what the spirit is, guys. Bilkul. Now let's come on to the next type. That is the anemic hypoxia. Anemic hypoxia. Now, whenever I'm talking about anemic hypoxia, now what is actually happening? So you can very well see in this particular diagram, we have hemoglobin. Okay, this hemoglobin is combining with the oxygen. Now, previously, what was happening? The oxygen supply was reduced. The oxygen supply was reduced in the first case. Now, in the second case, the hemoglobin is not functioning normally. Hemoglobin levels are reduced in the body. If the person is suffering from anemia, okay, if the person is anemic, so what will happen? Even though if there is like surplus oxygen, but hemoglobin is less, so it is it results in anemic hypoxia. Or meanwhile, just tell me what is the normal values of hemoglobin in our body. I want the answers in the chat box. While I'm writing the definition over here, it is what is the normal values of hemoglobin in our body. I want to know from you people. Yeah, I want to know from you people. And remember, anemic hypoxia results due to decrease in the functional hemoglobin. It results due to decrease in the functional hemoglobin. The hemoglobin which is not functional, okay, means it is dysfunctional hemoglobin. I'll just talk it about. Or if the hemoglobin levels are reduced in the body, that can also result in anemia, and ultimately anemia, oxygen supply will be less. Yeah. So yes, it is 12 to 14. Everyone is writing this. Okay. 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 Now, can anyone tell me when do we start? Okay, chalo, I'll discuss this question after some time. Yeah, Rimsha, very perfect. 13.8 to 17.2. Google Baba ki jai. So it is due to functional hemoglobin. Okay, and this can be seen in anemia where the hemoglobin levels are reduced. Where hemoglobin levels are reduced. Okay, where the hemoglobin levels are reduced, we can have altered hemoglobin. Hemoglobin like has not combined with oxygen, it has combined with some other gas. For example, this is a very important question that has been asked in the next exam. It has been a very important question that has been not next exam, in the previous FMG exam it has been asked. So remember, it is the carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay, carbon monoxide poisoning. What happens here? The carbon monoxide combines with hemoglobin because it has more higher affinity to combine with hemoglobin than oxygen. Okay, it has 4 times more higher affinity to combine with uh, hemoglobin than oxygen. So if there is surplus amount of carbon monoxide, it will combine with hemoglobin. And what will be the symptoms? The patient will have headache, and along with it you will see the cherry red color over his body. It will be present, cherry red color. In the question, remember, whenever they will try to frame a clinical case or clinical scenario for you people, they will definitely mention that in this particular poisoning, a cherry red color, or like they will mention. So cherry red color, okay, is a key mark, okay, whenever you see a carbon monoxide poisoning. And if there is a carbon monoxide poisoning, it is a type of anemic hypoxia, okay. Oxygen is there, but oxygen is not combining with hemoglobin. In place of oxygen, carbon monoxide has combined, and this is actually the altered hemoglobin scenario, which is seen over here. Okay. Yes, it is the cherry red color. Okay. It is the cherry red color. One more case, if you want to see, it is of met hemoglobin. Met hemoglobin. Now, everyone knows that ferrous plus 2, okay, it is oxidized to Fe plus 3. That is the oxidation which is taking place. And again, Fe plus 3 is reduced back to Fe2 plus via cytochrome B5 reductase enzyme. Cytochrome B5 reductase enzyme. Fe plus 3 is reduced to Fe plus 2. Okay. Fe plus 2 is basically oxidized to Fe plus 3 in our body, and again it is reduced to Fe plus 2. In any case, if cytochrome B5 reductase is not functioning properly, or we have decreased levels of cytochrome B5 reductase in our body, this Fe plus 3 will again lead to met hemoglobin. Okay, met hemoglobin. So remember, guys, that met hemoglobin is basically associated with newborn on exposure to drugs like, remember, it is the nitrite, sulfonamides, and local anesthetics. Now, if we are giving a newborn drugs like nitrites, sulfonamides, and local anesthetics, so this will result in decrease in the levels of like B5 reductase. Okay, even it is also associated with individuals. Now, if individual has in its body only, if it is like cytochrome 5 B5 is deficient, so it will again result in methemoglobin. So it is also associated with individuals with cytochrome B5 reductase deficiency. Cytochrome B5 reductase deficiency. Now, if you know that a patient is having this particular condition, now how will you treat the patient? How will you treat the patient? You will simply give intravenous. IV means intravenous. Okay, methylene blue. Intravenous methylene blue. It acts as a reducing agent, beta. It acts as a reducing agent. It will reduce Fe plus 3 again back to Fe plus 2. So any particular patient who is having this particular condition, okay, that is methemoglobin due to deficiency of this particular enzyme. So to treat that, you have to give the patient methylene blue that will act as a reducing agent. So yes, 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 very good, very good. Yeah, it's the coffee color of the mucosa, perfectly fine, beta. So I hope everyone has written about this anemic hypoxia. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, that you all understood that it is due to decrease in the amount of hemoglobin, or that is the anemia, or there is altered hemoglobin. Means hemoglobin is there, but it has combined with some other gas other than oxygen. It is carbon monoxide or okay, okay, perfect. Yasir, Mariam, Zobia, Osama, perfect. परफेक्ट बेटा. सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द क्लिनिकल केसेस. लाइक हम लोग नेक्स्ट के हिसाब से पढ़ रहे हैं, तो आप लोगों को ये पता होना चाहिए कि एनीथिंग कैन बी आस्क्ड. तो आप लोग को टाइप्स पता है, बट आपको साथ में ये चीजें भी पता होनी चाहिए कि व्हाट आर द क्लिनिकल सिनेरियोस व्हिच आर एसोसिएटेड विद दिस. यस यस यस. एंजाइम लेवल को स्क्रीन करेंगे अभिषेक. एंजाइम लेवल्स आर स्क्रीन्ड फॉर दिस. मिथामोग्लोबिनीमिया. Just I think mentioned. Yeah. So, coming on to the third type, guys. The very important, or just mention it. It is the stagnant hypoxia. Stagnant hypoxia. It is basically, it can occur due to ischemia. Ischemia simply means if there is any arterial obstruction. If there is arterial obstruction. अभिषेक इसके सिम्टम्स हम लोग पढ़ेंगे अभी जस्ट हम लोग जब आएंगे क्या कहते हैं थोड़े टाइम बाद जब हम लोग पूरा रेस्पिरेटरी पैथोलॉजी और बाकी सब चीजें डिस्कस करेंगे तब उसमें मैं सब पढ़ाऊंगा अभी जनरल हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं तो अभी जस्ट सिर्फ मेंशन करवाया क्योंकि अभी हम सिर्फ जनरल पैथोलॉजी पे फोकस करेंगे I will discuss. Don't worry. Just be with me throughout the session. Okay. Whenever I'm taking the live class, you will master each and everything. Don't worry. I'll cover medicine part also. Don't worry. So arterial obstructions. So suppose this is the artery. Okay. And this is the cell. Now, if suppose there is an obstruction in the artery which is carrying the blood. So this obstruction in the artery is referred to as ischemia. Less supply to oxygen to the cell. Okay. Oxygen will blood will not go to the cell. Ultimately the blood which is carrying the oxygen will not be there will not be a proper supply to the cell. So ischemia it is the, and remember one more question that I want to mention it over here. Just write down, it is the most common cause of stagnant hypoxia. It is the most common cause of stagnant hypoxia. Yeah, it is the most common cause of stagnant hypoxia, MCC, most common cause of stagnant hypoxia also, and most common cause of hypoxia also. So if the examiner is asking most common cause of hypoxia, ischemia. Most common cause of stagnant hypoxia, it is also ischemia. Other obstruction, it can be. Other obstruction, it can be congestion as well. Congestion basically simply means venous obstruction. Simply means venous obstruction. Congestion simply means venous obstruction. Okay. Now you know we have various veins in our body, and if the veins are obstructed, it will lead to congestion. That is again a type of stagnant hypoxia. That is again a type of stagnant hypoxia. I hope everyone has written this. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, that you all are along with me writing and learning. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, that you all are present, learning along with me, so that I'm only relying on your thumbs up and funny faces that you're sending in the chat box to encounter. Chalo, very good. Very good. Good, guys. Yasser, Osama, Shubham, Zopia, Nefi, Abhishek, Rimsha. Perfect, beta. Perfect. Prikshit, beta. Very good, beta. Chalo. After almost a month, I'm taking live classes now. So, itna energy dekh I'm very much like feeling very confident to complete this. Yeah, very good. Hasnan, Abhi, Ramiz, Deva, Zobia, Abhishek, Saurabh, Pratap, DJ, Vidhi. Very good, beta. Chal. Now, coming on to the last and the final type of hypoxia that we are going to discuss, it is the histotoxic hypoxia. It is the histotoxic hypoxia. Okay. Now, guys, remember that it is the damage to the tissues. Okay, it is the damage to the tissues, histotoxic, any toxicity to the tissues. Ultimately, there is cytochromes which are present in the cells. Okay, the cytochromes. These cytochromes, which are helping in metabolism and everything, these cytochromes will be inhibited, and they are inhibited by certain compounds such as cyanides. If there is any cyanide, okay, that will reduce the amount of cytochromes in our cells and tissues, and ultimately In venous obstruction, beta, systemic circulation will be altered, na? Systemic circulation, veins are actually carrying the blood to the heart, and ultimately if there is less supply, like the amount of CO2 which is required, if it is less also, then also it will like result over here. Systemic circulation will be altered. Yeah. So coming on to the cyanides, which actually inhibit the cytochromes, they are seen in conditions, or they are associated with IV nitroprusside long-term usage. Nitroprusside long-term usage. Can anyone tell me why and where we use IV nitroprusside? Yeah, can anyone tell me where we use IV nitroprusside? I want the answer from you guys. And remember that it is associated with IV nitroprusside long-term usage. If anyone has, like anyone knows, okay. And if there is any cyanide poisoning, guys, cyanide poisoning. Okay, you don't know, very good. IV nitroprusside, basically, whenever there is high BP, high blood pressure, okay, whenever there is high blood pressure, more than 200, more than 220 systolic blood pressure, then to lower that blood pressure, we use sodium nitroprusside, okay. And if the patient is constantly having high BP, we are using this particular drug to every time for reducing that blood pressure, and it can lead to this histotoxic hypoxia as well. So it's the side effect, okay, of this particular drug. Cyanide poisoning, guys, remember it is associated with, this has been a question in many times in exam, it is associated with brick red discoloration. Brick red discoloration. Put a dollar sign over here. Whenever in the question it says that if there is a brick red discoloration which is seen on the patient's body or particular part, it simply indicates that patient has cyanide poisoning. Okay. Now, how will you correct? So ultimately, we have to give him vitamin B12. You already know it is methylcobalamin. Okay, it is methylcobalamin. We have to give the patient methylcobalamin, or we can give amyl nitrate to the patient as well. Okay, amyl nitrate. Okay, so this is how we treat the patients of cyanide poisoning. Okay, excessive hypertension. देखो, there are various drugs just we are using for various cases. So nitroprusside is also used for like lowering the blood pressure, extensively the high blood pressure. Okay, yeah, it is used in the lowering of BP. Okay, so yeah, we are using different drugs that we will discuss in pharmacology. So over here, only just remember that it is used by this particular drug over a long passage of time. Okay, so yes, it is the histotoxic hypoxia that we have discussed. So we have discussed all the four types of hypoxia, and the very first cause of cell injury, that is hypoxia. Up till this, everything is clear, I suppose, guys. Just give me a thumbs up. We have discussed the concept of cell injury. We have discussed the cell organelles which are affected during cell injury. We have discussed the first cause of the cell injury, that is hypoxia, and four different types of hypoxia with different clinical scenarios. Okay, and some important one-liners. Okay, perfect. Hasnain Raja, very good. Shubham, Osama, perfect. बाकी सबके हाथों में मेहंदी लग गई है या कुछ तो हुआ है. So I will be focusing on the second type of etiological agent or the cause of cell injury, that is the physical that. Okay, yes. Mohammad Yasir Zobia, Abhi Prakshit, perfect guys. बाकी सब भी रिप्लाई कर दिया करो. चैट बॉक्स में कंटिन्यूअस रिप्लाईज रहेंगे, पता चलता रहेगा तुम लोग जिंदा हो, लाश की तरह तुम लोग नोट डाउन नहीं कर रहे हो. एंड आई होप एवरीवन इज राइटिंग द नोट्स, क्योंकि मैं तुम लोगों के साथ लिख रहा हूँ. द ओनली रीजन इज आई वांट यू पीपल टू राइट अलोंग विद मी, अदरवाइज मैं भी पूरा प्रिंटेड रख सकता था यहाँ पे. So I just want each one of you to write along with me. That's why I'm taking so much pain, guys. That's why I'm taking so much pain for you people. Okay. Now there are certain physical agents or physiological agents which can cause cell injury. Okay, सर आप इतना अच्छा पढ़ा रहे हैं कि उसी में खो रहे हैं. इतनी ज्यादा तारीफ के लिए शुक्रिया शुक्रिया शुक्रिया. Anyways, चलो. The physical agents, for example, the very first one, it is the mechanical agents. It is the mechanical uh, trauma. For example, if we talk about road accidents, okay, and also you can see उसमें तो पूरी की पूरी body damage हो जाती है, तो ultimately all the cells will also die. Okay, mechanical trauma, road accidents and everything. Yeah, road accidents and everything. Yes, so it is the mechanical trauma. Then we can have thermal trauma as well. We can have thermal trauma as well. It is by heat. Okay, the temperature, it is basically very high. Okay, we have too high temperature, too high temperature. Yes, yes, too high temperature. You can see it in burn injury. You can see it in burn injury. Yes, or it can be a trauma by cold. It is less than normal, less than normal. Okay, it can be sub zero temperature, below normal temperature. That is simply referred to as the frostbite. Frostbite. Yes, we can have radiations which are responsible for cell injury, which can cause cell injury as well. These are ultraviolet radiations, ultraviolet radiations, okay, or it can be ionizing radiations and much more, many more. I'm just mentioning a list out of it so that in exam, if it's a theory question, theoretical question, you can just write it, okay. And apart from that, if there is any rapid changes, yes, it can be free radicals as well, UV rays as well. Yasir, just very good beta, perfect. It can be the rapid changes in atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure, they can also cause this cell injury. If too high oxygen is supplied to your body, okay, that can also result in cell injury. So this is about a short list about the physical agents which are responsible for causing cell injury. Which are responsible for causing cell injury. Yeah, rapid change in atmospheric pressure or high. Yeah, it's all right. All right. So this is a short list which I have provided. Yeah. Okay. Perfect, guys. Coming on to the third one, the third cause of the cell injury, that is the chemicals and the drugs. Chemicals and the drugs. One I have already discussed. It is the cyanide. Other one, it is the arsenic. We can also have mercury poisoning. Okay, or chemicals such as acids, or simply I will say strong acids and alkali. Okay, or even oxygen at higher concentrations. Oxygen at higher concentrations, if it is supplied, then also it can lead to cell injury. Yes, we have microbial agents as well, beta. These are bacteria. These are bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa. So these are some microbial agents which you will discuss in microbiology with another faculty. And over there, you can just like these are also responsible for causing cell injury. Apart from that, one more point that I would like to mention, it is about the nutritional dearrangements. Nutritional dearrangements. You already know we have protein energy malnutrition. Okay, marasmus disease, kwashiorkor disease. So these are certain pediatric diseases which can like these are the nutritional dearrangements if the person is not taking a balanced diet. Okay, so ultimately it can lead to cell injury as well if proper amount of oxygen or proper amount of food is not consumed. balanced diet is not consumed, it can result in cell injury as well. I hope, guys, till here, yeah, it is like done with the third part, that is the, yeah, the types, the causes of the cell injury is completed up till now. I hope everyone has noted in their notebooks. Yes, everyone, like, so I will come to the next part, that is the manifestations of cell injury. Before that, I hope everyone has completed and everyone is enjoying. I hope no one is tired as of now. Yeah. So now I'm going to discuss the manifestations of cell injury. Last slide. Yes, you can just write it. Be fast, guys. हंसने बेटा थोड़ा सा जल्दी लिखने की कोशिश करो. हाँ, चल. Okay, okay. Perfect. Take a screenshot, guys. Like, okay. Sure. Now we are coming to the manifestations of cell injury that I have already. Okay. We have so much energy. I want that energy to be utilized in writing notes and understanding the concepts. Okay. Now, suppose, guys, if there is any injurious agent, if there is any injurious agent, okay, this injurious agent is actually leading to cell injury. Means either, now what's happening if we are giving a stress to a person. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर कल आप लोगों का पेपर है किसी भी सब्जेक्ट का, तो आप लोग क्या करोगे, पूरी रात पढ़ाई करोगे. मतलब मोस्ट ऑफ 90% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन स्ट्रेस लेंगे, पूरी रात पढ़ाई करेंगे, टेंशन ले लेकर हालत खराब कर लेंगे अपनी. और अल्टीमेटली क्या होता है कि जैसे ही पेपर ओवर हो जाता है स्ट्रेस रिमूव हो जाता है आप लोगों का. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज डन over here also. If there is any injurious agent, the cell will first try to adapt itself. The cell will first try to adapt itself. It is called as cell adaptation. It is called as cell adaptation. That is seen in conditions such as stress. जब सेल का काम बढ़ जाता है, that is increase workload. इसलिए I always say my students, please जिस दिन जो पढ़ाया है, okay, you should learn that particular topic that day only. Don't like leave it for another days. तो वही सेम एग्जांपल आप लोग को समझ में आई क्या है कि आप सपोज कल एग्जाम में और पहले से कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं की है, तो अल्टीमेटली एक रात बैठोगे पढ़ने के लिए तो स्ट्रेस हो जाता है ना, बॉडी में काम ज्यादा करना पड़ रहा है, बॉडी को पढ़ना पड़ रहा है. तो अल्टीमेटली जब एग्जाम हो जाएगा तो स्ट्रेस रिमूव हो गया, और स्ट्रेस रिमूव हो गया तो सेल फर्स्टली ट्राइज टू अडाप्ट इटसेल्फ टू दैट पर्टिकुलर इंजूरियस एजेंट. इफ द स्ट्रेस और द वर्कलोड इज वेरी वेरी हाई कि अब तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता, so ultimately it will lead to cell injury. It will lead to cell injury, and cell injury will further manifest in two ways. It will further manifest in two ways. One is the reversible cell injury. Reversible cell injury. And other one, it is the irreversible cell injury. Okay. Now guys, I will try to mention this on this particular slide that what we are going to discuss in each particular topic. In cell adaptation, we will discuss four types, that is hypertrophy, hypertrophy. Then we will discuss about hyperplasia. Just make this flowchart along with me, and one by one, we are going to discuss each and everything that I'm writing on this particular slide. So don't worry, guys. So don't worry. We have hyperplasia. Then we have metaplasia. Then we have atrophy. Hypertrophy, metaplasia, hypertrophy, hyperplasia, metaplasia, atrophy. We are going to discuss all this in cell adaptation. Cell undergoes changes to adapt itself to the injurious agent. Okay. These four types we will be discussing in cell adaptation. Now in reversible cell injury, now if the injury is mild and it is non-lethal, non-lethal means if it is non-toxic, then it can be physical reversible injury, physical, or it can be chemical. I will be discussing dysplasia also. Don't worry, I will be discussing beta. बट पहले एक फ्लो चार्ट बना लेते हैं. हाँ हाँ या लिख लो. मेटाप्लेशिया को जब मैं पढ़ाऊंगा उसी के साथ डिस्कस कर लूंगा. डोंट वरी आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग. अभी सिर्फ एक फ्लो चार्ट बना रहे हैं. ओके, तो इट कैन बी फिजिकल, केमिकल, एंड इट कैन बी ड्यू टू फ्री रेडिकल्स. ये सब हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे. डोंट वरी अबाउट दिस. अभी सिर्फ मैंने कहा नोट्स डालो, पॉइंट्स डालो, एक एक चीज डिस्कस करेंगे. Reversible cell injury can also be this injury can also be due to thermal heat की वजह से जो भी इंजरी हो रही है, और it can be due to ischemia as well that I have already discussed. Ischemia, thermal injuries can be there. Okay, irreversible cell injury manifest in so many ways. Just mention those points as well. Yeah, irreversible cell injury will finally lead to cell death. I don't have space down, so just mention it over here. Yeah, it can lead to cell death, and various type of cell deaths you have to study. It is the apoptosis. You also have to study necrosis along with it. Then we have necroptosis. We have pyroptosis. Okay, so we have one more. Like mention this that irreversible cell injury will ultimately lead to cell death. Why? We have various, like we'll discuss apoptosis, necrosis, necroptosis, pyroptosis in detail. So what we have to now discuss, it is all this which is mentioned on the slide. It is all this which is mentioned on the slide. Okay. Pyroptosis is also there. Yes, you can mention this also. Okay. So we have pyroptosis also. So this is the flow chart in which I have mentioned each and everything. So we will be starting with the cell adaptation, guys. We will be starting with the cell adaptation. We will be starting with the cell adaptation. I hope everyone is ready as of now to start with the cell adaptation. Yes, sure. हसनैन, अभिषेक, यासिर, परफेक्ट. बाकी सब बच्चे हैं क्लास में, जो भी हैं फटाफट से एक थम्स अप दे दो कि अभी तक सर जो पढ़ाया है एवरीथिंग इज क्लियर, एवरीथिंग इज लाइक दे यू ऑल हैव रिटन इन योर नोटबुक्स. चल, इंटरेक्शन जितना इंटरेक्ट करोगे बेटा उतना ज्यादा सीखोगे, उतना अच्छा सीखोगे. जितना इंटरेक्शन होगा उतना ज्यादा सीखोगे, उतना ज्यादा अच्छा याद होगा. चल, सेल अडाप्टेशन. तो अडाप्टेशन का मतलब मैंने आप लोग को अभी बताया कि देखो जब स्ट्रेस होता है या वर्कलोड बढ़ जाता है सेल का, सेल उसको पहले सस्टेन करने की कैपेसिटी रखती है, उसको झेलने की कैपेसिटी रखती है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अडाप्ट करने की कैपेसिटी रखती है, दैट इज कॉमनली कॉल्ड एज सेल अडाप्टेशन. ओके, the very first thing that I'm going to discuss right now, it is atrophy. That is the type of the cell adaptation. It is the type of cell adaptation. Atrophy. A basically means absent. A basically means absent. Trophy means growth. Trophy means growth. Or I can simply say it is decrease in the number. Decrease in the number. ये arrow का मतलब है decrease in the number Yeah, I'm using English only, like decrease in the number and decrease in the size of cells or tissues. So atrophy simply means, wherever we are using A in medical science, it simply means absent, absent growth, or growth is absent because there is decrease in number of cells, or there is decrease in size of cells or tissues. Okay. Now, for growth, what is the major component that is required for growth? Everyone knows it. It is the proteins. Now, suppose if there is protein degradation. Yeah, I'm using English only now. Suppose if there is protein degradation, okay, now proteins are attached to ubiquitin component. Now, what will happen? Whenever the proteins are attached with ubiquitin, okay, these proteins, whenever they are attached with ubiquitin, they will be targeted by proteosomes. They will be targeted by proteosomes, okay, and these proteosomes will destroy the protein, will destroy, or they destroys the protein. In short, wherever ubiquitin basically is attached to the proteins, they are going to be destroyed. Or I can simply write that ubiquitin attached proteins, attached proteins are going to be destroyed by proteasome, by proteosomes. Okay, proteosomes. Okay, proteosomes. Okay. Now we have two types of atrophy. We have, okay, atrophy can manifest physiologically also and pathologically also. So physiological atrophy, okay, physiological atrophy, which is natural. Can anyone tell me where you can find the physiological atrophy? Physiological atrophy. Anyone in the chat box can answer this? Where we can encounter the physiological atrophy, which is very much normal. Whenever we talk about the term physiological, it simply states it as normal. Okay. Yes. Yes. Hmm. So remember, it is the atrophy of notochord, atrophy of notochord, or the second one, it is the atrophy of ductus arteriosus. Atrophy of notochord, atrophy of ductus arteriosus. Just mention this. Yeah, just mention this in your notes. Yes. Atrophy of, अभी बताया मैंने, atrophy of the notochord. ठीक है? By birth, yeah, in the embryology, very good, very good. Yes. Atrophy of the ductus arteriosus, we don't need it, so it is just destroyed. Okay. And the next one, that is the pathological atrophy. Now, this is something which is very much important. Pathological atrophy. Pathological means related with disease. Pathological means related with disease which is not normal, dysfunctional. The very first one, that is the malnutrition. Okay, due to malnutrition, various the organs will not get proper like supply, and ultimately there will be no growth in the organs, and ultimately it can die. Okay, and second one, that is of our concern, it is senile atrophy. Senile atrophy. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of the term senile? Yeah, can anyone tell me what is the meaning of the term senile? So I'm waiting for the answers, guys. Can anyone let me? I've asked a very simple question. What do you mean by the term senile? Yes, it is old. So remember, due to old age, what is happening? There is gradual deposition of lipids on blood vessels. There is gradual deposition of lipids on blood vessels. Now, what is happening, guys? Suppose this is the blood vessel, okay? This is the blood vessels, or simply which is going to the brain. Now, if I'm talking about the brain, and this is the blood vessel, that is the cerebral artery, which is taking the blood to the brain, that is taking the oxygen rich blood to the brain. Now, due to lipid deposition, if suppose the lipid is deposited in this blood vessel, okay, there is gradual deposition of lipid as the age increases. There is gradual deposition of lipids, okay. So there is lipid deposition, and what will happen, the amount of blood which was going earlier, the amount of blood to the brain will decrease. The amount of blood to the brain will decrease, and it will result in atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis. Yes, plaque. वेरी गुड वेरी गुड. कोलेस्ट्रॉल डिपोजिट्स हो गए, तो कोलेस्ट्रॉल अब क्या करेंगे, पहले इतना अमाउंट ऑफ ब्लड जा रहा था, नाउ ड्यू टू दैट डिपोजिशन द अमाउंट ऑफ ब्लड विल रिड्यूस, and ultimately it will lead to atherosclerosis, or simply I can say it is the decreased blood supply to the brain. Decreased blood supply to the brain. अब जब ब्रेन में ब्लड सप्लाई कम जाएगा, if there is less blood supply to the brain, what will happen? There will be deficiency of acetylcholine, acetylcholine, and it will result in loss of memory. It will result in loss of memory. Yes, dementia. Perfect, Peter. So it will result in loss of memory, that is simply called as senile dementia. Senile dementia, or in commonly known as Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease. वैसे तो मेडिसिन में इसको डिटेल में पढ़ोगे, बट फॉर टाइम बीइंग जस्ट गाइस रिमेंबर कि ये सब चीजें हो रही हैं, ओके. एंड इफ एसिटाइल कोलिन का लेवल ब्रेन में कम हो जाता है, यू ऑलरेडी नो दिस एसिटाइल कोलिन, ओके, देयर विल बी decrease in memory, there will be decrease in memory, and it is all stored in the Maynard nucleus, okay, it is all stored in that. So ultimately it will result in this. So the blood supply to the brain will decrease, and the, yeah, it will result in pathological atrophy, guys. It will result in pathological atrophy. I hope this is like clear to each and everyone. I hope this is clear to each and everyone, guys. Just give me a thumbs up that you all understood this. Okay. Just thumbs up, honestly. Said take one. Okay, thumbs up. Very good. Hasnain, very good. Siddhi, very good. What about rest, guys? Baki sab hai. There are many students today. I want everyone to answer, guys. I want everyone to answer. Shubham Rao, Hasnain, Zobia, Rimsha, Prakshit, Medico, love. Perfect, perfect, beta. If you won't answer me, then yeah, Prakshit, Abhishek, Harkesh, Shah Nizam, Teen, very good, beta. आपका जैसा रिस्पॉन्स रहेगा गाइस, accordingly I will plan the next session. The more you will interact, the more classes I will take on a regular basis. Write down one more type of atrophy, guys. That is pressure atrophy. That is pressure atrophy. The word pressure से आप लोग समझते हो, प्रेशर एक ही जगह पे लगता है, ठीक है, प्रेशर एक ही जगह पे लगता है. तो yes, it is simply the obstruction. If suppose there is any obstruction at urinary outflow level, urinary outflow level, we have the kidneys, ureters, urethra. Okay, so if there is any obstruction at any level, if there is any obstruction at any level, okay, what will happen? More urine will accumulate inside the kidney. More urine will accumulate inside the kidney. Okay, यूरिन बाहर नहीं जा पा रहा है तो वो किडनी में ज्यादा एक्यूमुलेट होने लग जाएगा. What will happen? More amount of urine will accumulate in the kidney. Then what will happen? We know that we have the cortical part of the kidney as well. There will be compression. There will be compression. Cortical part of the kidney में compression होने लग जाएगा. Okay? Compression of the cortical part of the kidney, and ultimately it will lead to atrophy. Cortical part undergoes atrophy. Yeah, it can be due to any reason, beta. It can be due to any reason. If the obstruction is there in any urinary outflow system, ureter, urethra, कहीं पे भी obstructed है, तो urine will collect in the kidney and basically it will try to compress the cortical part. जो बाहर वाला part होता है ना किडनी का, that is the cortical part. और urine जब collect होने लग जाएगा, it will put pressure on the walls of the kidney, that is the cortical part of the kidney, and again it will finally lead to the atrophy. Okay, the cortical part undergoes atrophy. So, in nutshell, I'm just discussing the atrophy in one particular line. So, if there is absence of growth of cells, growth of cells, or I can simply say if there is decrease in number or size of cells, this will all lead to atrophy, beta. So this will all lead to atrophy. This will all lead to atrophy. Absence of growth of cells or decrease in number or size of cells, it will lead to atrophy. I've already discussed various examples with you people. Pathological atrophy, senile atrophy, pressure atrophy, and I hope it's clear to each and everyone. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, that you all have written these notes along with me, whatever I've discussed as of now. So yes, sure. Sure. Honestly, very good. Yaman, very good beta. Very good beta. So, yes, now I will be discussing another type of cellular adaptation. Yes, Osama, Medico, Shanizam, perfect beta. Perfect. बाकी सब सो रहे हैं क्या भाई? हम्म. चल प्रेक्षित. Sannyasi, sure. I will be adding questions in my next session, and there I will show you the image and ask you a question. So be prepared for that. Yeah. Siddhi, Shivangi, Nefi, perfect, perfect, guys. I hope you all are enjoying, guys. Yeah. Abhishek. Okay, perfect. Write down the next part, guys. That is hypertrophy. Hypertrophy. Zobia, Medico, Osama, perfect. Perfect, बेटा. हाइपर. हाइपर का मतलब क्या होता है? गुस्से वाला हाइपर ना. एक्सेस. हाइपर का मतलब होता है एक्सेसिव. हद से ज्यादा. Excessive means more in number. Okay. Sorry. Increase. Okay. Or trophy means growth. So it simply means increase in size, increase in size of individual cells. सेल का साइज ये था, सेल का साइज बढ़ के इतना हो गया, सो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज कॉल्ड एज हाइपरट्रोफी. ओके. एंड सेल का साइज अगर इस तरीके से इंक्रीज हो रहा है तो किसी भी चीज को बनने के लिए, सी फॉर एनी स्ट्रक्चरल लाइक growth we need proteins. Now hypertrophy is due to, it is due to over synthesis, it is due to over synthesis of structural proteins. It is due to oversynthesis of structural proteins. It is due to oversynthesis of structural proteins. Okay, ultimately, proteins are the ones which are helping in growth. And ultimately, if the cell is increasing in size, that will be only due to the structural proteins, the skeletal framework that is. Okay. So remember, we have also over here physiological hypertrophy. Physiological hypertrophy. Physiological hypertrophy that is seen in pregnancy. That is seen in pregnancy. Okay. What are the organs which show physiological hypertrophy in a female who is like a pregnant female? It is the uterus along with the breast. You can see the increase in size of the uterus and the breast. The size of the uterus and breast are increased in pregnancy. That is the physiological, that is completely a normal hypertrophic process. Apart from that, in puberty also you can see this. In puberty also you can see this. And in bodybuilders who are consuming proteins from outside, okay, whey proteins, they also are like, it's an example of physiological hypertrophy. It's not a disease, they're just increasing the muscle mass content, and that's due to the protein that they're consuming. Apart from that, remember we have the next one, that is the pathological hypertrophy. Pathological hypertrophy. Okay. Pathological hypertrophy is basically seen in cardiac patients, patients who are suffering from heart diseases. Okay. And it is generally due to hypertension. But I will be discussing, just wait, let me come to the topic, guys, right? It is particularly hypertension. Okay. Particularly hypertension. I will be discussing it. And one more that I have to discuss along with it, it is the stricture. Strictures. Strictures. So what do you mean by strictures? It is the narrowing of lumen and intestine. It is the narrowing of lumen and intestine. Okay. For example, this is a normal vessel. Okay. And after hypertrophy, what will happen? The mass will increase. The mass will increase. This is the lumen. Inside it, it is the lumen. It's like a pipe. और अंदर अगर मास बढ़ जाएगा, what will happen? The lumen will decrease. The lumen, size of the lumen will decrease. The size of the lumen will decrease. And that is something which is structured, narrowing of the lumen. Okay. Now, guys, we will discuss. Now, suppose you already know we have the left atrium. Okay, I'll just draw it with red color so that you are more aware. Okay, now I have a question to you people. Left atrium में कौन सा blood receive होता है? Which blood is received in left atrium? Oxygenated or deoxygenated? Come on, guys, answer the question. Answer the question, everyone. I'm waiting for your answers. Which blood is received in left atrium? Okay, so I'm waiting for the answers, everyone. Yes, it is the oxygenated blood. Can anyone tell me from left atrium the blood goes into which compartment of the heart? Yes, it is the oxygenated blood. Everyone is right. Yes, Abhishek, Riya, Medico, perfect, perfect, beta. Osama, perfect. So yes, from left atrium, the blood goes into the left ventricle. We have the left ventricle over here. Yes, it is the oxygenated blood. Yes, it is going from the left atrium to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, it is going to the aorta. Aorta or the systemic artery. We commonly call it as the systemic artery or the aorta. Through the left ventricle, it is going to the aorta or the systemic artery. Now, guys, try to understand. Heart pumps the blood into the aorta, or I can simply say the left ventricle pumps the blood into the aorta. Occasionally, the pressure in the left ventricle is more than the aorta. The pressure in the left ventricle, it is more in the aorta. So you already know that the heart pumps the blood into aorta. It pumps the blood into aorta. Okay. Yeah, everyone is right. Now remember, guys, whenever now what will happen? The left ventricle, there will be a pressure in left ventricle which will be more than the aorta. तभी तो blood ऊपर जाएगा. तभी तो blood ऊपर जाएगा. Left ventricle has more pressure than the pressure in aorta. Left ventricle, or I can simply say the pressure in left ventricle, it is more than pressure in aorta. Pressure in aorta. Now, if any person who is suffering from hypertension, hypertension, who is suffering from hypertension, hypertension simply means the pressure which is generated by the left ventricle is more. Ideally, it should be 120 systolic blood pressure, but it is more than 150, 170 in case of hypertension. Okay, what is the normal blood pressure, guys? I want the answer in the chat box. What is the normal blood pressure, guys? Everyone. What is the normal blood pressure, guys? Yes, Riya, perfect beta. 120/80. तो आज ध्यान रखेंगे कि 120 तो लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकल का प्रेशर हो गया और 80 इज द डायस्टोलिक प्रेशर, दैट इज द आयोटिक प्रेशर, दैट इज द रिसीविंग प्रेशर. So left ventricle ka pressure, yes, it is 120/80. Osama pressure, perfect, perfect, guys. Medical love, perfect, perfect, beta. So in case of hypertension, basically it is more than this particular blood pressure. What will happen? Left ventricle will exert more force. Left ventricle has to exert more force because pressure is large. More force will be there over the time. Over several time, over years, the left ventricle gets hypertrophy. It gets hypertrophy. And if suppose this is the left atrium and this is the left ventricle, if it gets hypertrophy, the lumen will be very much narrow. There will be more cells. Left ventricle will be like the lumen over here, which is responsible for receiving the blood. The area will be reduced. The area will be reduced because of the cells of the left ventricle gets hypertrophy, and ultimately it can lead to cardiac failure. There is a risk of cardiac failure in such patients. So yes, yes, there is a risk of cardiac failure. So whatever area which was previously receiving the blood, the area will be reduced because the cells of the left ventricle will be hypertrophied from inside. From inside. So the lumen will be less, the amount of blood it will receive it will be less, and ultimately if less oxygen will be there, heart will pump less blood, and ultimately it can result in cardiac failure. Ultimately it can result in cardiac failure. I hope this is clear to each and everyone. That is about the hypertrophy that I have just discussed with you people. That is the pathological hypertrophy, guys. That is the pathological hypertrophy. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, that you all understood pathological hypertrophy well. Prakshit, perfect beta, perfect. What about rest, guys? बाकी सब response दीजिए. Osama, very good beta. Siddhi, medical love, Shubham, yes, yes. Perfect, guys. Shah Nizam, very good, guys. Hmm. Chal, Abhishek, Hasnain, very good, guys. Just you can drink water also. I will continue. I will complete this topic, guys. So be with me, guys. Write the notes along with me. The more you will interact with me, guys, yes, the more I will take classes. Okay. Sure. Perfect, guys. Let's start, guys. Let's start. Coming on to the next one, that is the hyperplasia that everyone was asking now. Hyperplasia. Okay. Hyper means increase. Hyper means increase, and plasia means number. So if there is increase in number of cells, so if there is increase in number of cells, oh shit, I just skipped the slides. Okay, anyways, so hyperplasia basically increase in the number or cells. Okay, so we have physiological hyperplasia, we have physiological hyperplasia, that it is seen in two conditions, that is pregnancy. Again, प्रेगनेंसी में सेल का साइज तो बढ़ेगा ही, along with the increase in the cell size you will see the number of cells to they are also increased in pregnancy. So ultimately these are seen in two organs, that is the uterus and the breast tissues. Uterus and the breast tissues. And ultimately it is the puberty. Okay. Puberty, maybe you are very well aware, a female, that is the uterus and the breast increases in size, that is just due to an increase in the number of cells. Ultimately the number of cells will increase, the size will automatically increase. So yes, in puberty and pregnancy, both ways you can see the uterus and breast tissue, that is the physiological hyperplasia. Coming on to the next one, that is the pathological hyperplasia. Pathological hyperplasia. Now, in pathological hyperplasia, the very first one that you guys should know, it is endometrial hyperplasia. Endometrial hyperplasia. And remember, it is a pre-cancerous condition. It is a pre-cancerous condition. Remember that endometrial cells, they increase in number. Okay, the endometrial cells increase in number, leading to endometrial hyperplasia that you will study in gynecology. Okay, and it is of two types: type 1 endometrial hyperplasia, type 2. Now, so yes, remember that it can convert into endometrial cancer as well. So it is always a precancerous condition or pre-malignant condition, I would say. Okay, precancerous condition. So it can ultimately result in endometrial cancer. So it is one of the pathological hyperplasia that needs to be corrected. And the second one, it is the prostatic hyperplasia. Prostatic hyperplasia, or simply I can say it is the benign prostatic hyperplasia. Benign prostatic hyperplasia. It is benign prostatic hyperplasia. Okay. Now, whenever you talk about prostatic hyperplasia, it is enlargement of the or increase in number of cells of the prostate glands. So ultimately, this prostatic hyperplasia, it is androgen dependent. Androgen dependent. Prostate glands in males, you are, I think, very much aware of this. Androgen dependent. Remember that there is a reaction which is going on. See, we have testosterone in our body. We have testosterone in our body. Can anyone tell me testosterone is responsible for which particular functions in our body? Testosterone is responsible for which particular functions in our body? Which characters? And remember that testosterone is not responsible for it. We are talking about benign prostatic hyperplasia as of now. We'll discuss it in surgery as well. But remember for now that this testosterone, it is not responsible for BPH. Now, why did sir you say, yeah, secondary sexual characters, masculine characters? Yes, very good, guys. Perfect, perfect. This testosterone gets converted to dihydrotestosterone. Now, again a question: which particular thing is responsible for BPH? It is the dihydrotestosterone, which is actually converted. So testosterone gets converted into DHT by the help of enzyme 5-alpha reductase. 5-alpha reductase, and this is something which is responsible for BPH. This is something which is responsible for BPH. Prostate glands के जो cells है, they will increase in number. That will result in BPH. Okay, and it is something which is responsible for increase in the number of cells in the prostate. Increase in the number of cells in the prostate. Okay. Now, what is the clinical symptoms of the patient that you will encounter? They will give you a clinical history. Again, guys, you're preparing for the next exam. All the clinical relevance I'm discussing from the day one. Mention this in your notes, and every time, like, it will be a piece of cake for you guys when you encounter such questions and you will like directly solve it from pathology. So always I say you guys, just pay attention and learn along with me. What is the clinical symptoms of the patient, guys? They will give you an elderly man of 65 years old age who complains of delayed maturation. Delayed maturation. Okay. And he is having problems with starting of stream, starting of urine. It will take some time. Okay. Stream. He will try to apply pressure also, but it will take like time to start with it. Okay, and that stream, that urine flow, it is not of proper strength. It is not of proper strength, and ultimately this stream cannot be controlled. Cannot be controlled. So these are certain complaints that would be like picturized to you, or they will give you in a clinical case, guys. They will give you in a clinical case. And yes, so what you will do, so that is the clinical scenario. Okay, that is the clinical scenario. And you will be diagnosing it as there is an increase in the prostate size. Okay, prostate size, which compresses the urethra, which compresses the urethra. Okay, which compresses the urethra. So it will try to compress the urethra. Ultimately, what will happen? This hypertrophy is not good. Okay, now how will you treat the patient? What you will say to the patient? So remember, if the patient's symptoms are seen with the help of DHT, dihydrotestosterone. So how will you treat the patient? You will decrease DHT concentration, dihydrotestosterone concentration, by giving a drug, by treating the patient with finasteride. Okay, that is works by 5 alpha reductase inhibitor. So what does this drug do? It will reduce, or it will inhibit this particular enzyme, so that testosterone doesn't get converted into dihydrotestosterone. Ultimately, it will result in decrease in the DHT levels. It will result in decrease in the DHT levels, and the symptoms will be relieved. Okay, so it will result in decrease in size of prostate, and it provides symptomatic relief to the patient. It provides symptomatic relief to the patient. It provides symptomatic relief to the patient. And remember one more thing, that BPH, whenever I'm talking about BPH, remember it is not a pre-malignant condition, means it does not converts into cancer. Okay, it is benign. It is benign. Okay, it is not a risk factor for developing prostate cancer. This point you have to write it over here, that BPH is not a risk factor for development of prostate cancers. Okay, it is benign. No? It is not a risk factor for development of prostate cancer. It is never. Okay, so by the help of this drug, what you will do, you will inhibit this particular enzyme. If you inhibit this, there will be no conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. Again, telling DHT is responsible for BPH, not testosterone. So that this enzyme is inhibited by this particular drug, and the patient will be symptomatically resolved. The issue will be resolved. Okay, so hyperplasia may lead to cancerous condition, like I've already discussed over here. Endometrial hyperplasia, it can lead to cancerous condition, or it cannot lead to a cancerous condition. So hyperplasia is both ways. It, in some cases it can lead to cancer, in some cases it will not lead to cancer. Okay, okay. I hope this is clear. Just give me a thumbs up, guys. Just give me a thumbs up that everything is clear as of now. All the three types that I have discussed, it is clear to you people. All the three types that I have discussed with you people, it is clear to you. Chandra Priya, very good bache. Prikshit, perfect, perfect beta. What about rest guys? Osama, medical love, perfect beta. Be with me throughout. Zobia, perfect. Sure. Everyone knows I. Chalo, very good, very good. Most people are answering also. बाकी पता नहीं सुन रहे हैं बैठ के, कोई पिक्चर चल रही है देख रहे हैं कि सब कुछ तो ऐसा करेंगे कि एंजॉयमेंट होगा. But I don't think I need poor jokes to entertain you guys, right? Entertainment हो रहा है क्लास में काफी है. So yes. Hmm. Sure, sure, sure. The last type that we are going to discuss in cellular adaptation, it is the fourth one, that is the metaplasia. It is the metaplasia. It is the metaplasia. Yes. Sure. Now metaplasia. Meta simply means slightly altered, and plasia means number. Plasia means number. We have slightly altered number. This is something which is very, very important, guys. This is something which is very, very important. Now you have to remember that metaplasia simply means it is change in the number of cells, okay, in presence of stress. Whenever there is a stress to the cells, there is a change in the number of cells. Okay, there is a change in the number of cells. So we have two types of metaplasia which we are going to discuss. We have epithelial metaplasia, and we have connective tissue metaplasia. Connective tissue metaplasia. So it is a change in the number of cells, okay, in the presence of stress. We have epithelial metaplasia and connective tissue. Now, one by one, we will be discussing. So remember, first we are going to talk about the connective tissue metaplasia. Connective tissue metaplasia. Connective tissue metaplasia. And we are going to discuss two over here. One is the myositis ossificans. Okay, what does it? Myositis is for muscles, ossificans is for bone. So what is happening over here? Muscle is replaced by bone. Muscle is replaced by bone due to accumulation of calcium. Due to accumulation of calcium, the muscles is replaced by bone. Second one that we are going to discuss, it is the Barrett's esophagus. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इस पे तो $3 लगा लेना, हर बार क्वेश्चन आता है, हर बार क्वेश्चन आता है. एवरी टाइम द एग्जामिनर इज मोर कीन इन सेलुलर अडैप्टेशन में से अगर कुछ पूछना है तो बैरेट्स ईसोफेगस तो पूछ ही लेते हैं. तो रिमेंबर बैरेट्स ईसोफेगस, it is a type of intestinal columnar metaplasia. Columnar metaplasia. Now guys, I will explain this. I will explain to you this with the help of an example. I mean, I'll just draw a diagram over here and then I will try to explain you. Yeah. So remember, that what is happening in Barrett's esophagus. Barrett's esophagus. Remember that we have squamous cells in the esophagus. Squamous cells. Now, squamous cells are roughly like these, and they are containing a nucleus in between, and these are the normal squamous cells. Now, what is happening to these squamous cells? These squamous cells are changing into columnar cells. These squamous cells are changing into columnar cells. So columnar cells, at the base they have the nucleus, columnar cells. Now in this columnar cells you will encounter the presence of a large vacuole. You will encounter the presence of a large vacuole, and that vacuole will contain mucin. That vacuole will contain mucin. So this whole structure where you can encounter columnar cell with the nucleus at the base and the vacuoles. Vacuoles are large shaped sacs which contain mucin. These collectively it is called as the goblet cell. This collectively it is called as the goblet cell. And remember, remember guys, one question that has been asked in the exam: to stain mucin, okay, to stain, or there is a special stain. If we want to see mucin in the with the help of a microscope on the slide, there is a special stain for mucin, and it is known as Alcian blue. It is known as Alcian blue. I will show you. I have the microscopic image along with me. I will show you. It is the Alcian blue, guys. It is the Alcian blue. Okay. So columnar cells are getting okay. So it is the columnar metaplasia. You can see columnar metaplasia. The squamous cells are changing into columnar cells. Okay. And it is seen nearly to the intestine. It is also called as intestinal columnar metaplasia. Intestinal columnar metaplasia. Okay. And it is the hallmark of Barrett's esophagus. Barrett's esophagus. It is the hallmark of Barrett's esophagus. And remember that Barrett's esophagus, it increases the risk of cancer of esophagus, that is known as adenocarcinoma. That is known as adenocarcinoma of esophagus. So it increases the risk of adenocarcinoma of esophagus. Okay. Barrett's esophagus is like it is a risk factor for cancer of esophagus. But yeah, I will be discussing this. Don't worry, Samir. I will be coming on to the part just after this. I'll be starting with this. Don't worry. You will only tell me the answer. Just wait for the right time to come. Right now, I'm discussing Barrett's esophagus, and you should know. And how the microscopic image looks like, you should know. Now, this is like we have taken a biopsy of the esophagus. So you can very well appreciate, guys, these are the squamous cells over here. These are the squamous cells, okay? And these squamous cells are further changing into columnar cells with a large vacuoles. So these are the columnar cells, okay? These are the columnar cells. You can see the nucleus at the base, and along with that we have the large vacuoles. You can just appreciate it over here. So yes, this is the Barrett's esophagus, okay? Barrett's esophagus. You can very well see it over here. And apart from that, guys, you can see this is the Alcian blue stain. Alcian blue stain, okay, where you can just encounter this blue color, that is the mucin. That is the mucin, okay, which is there in the vacuole. So these are the goblet cells. These are the goblet cells. Okay, these are the goblet cells which are These are the goblet cells. Okay, so it is the intestinal metaplasia. Okay, that is the columnar metaplasia that you can see. So this is a special stain which is used to stain, okay, the goblet cells, the mucin especially. Okay, so yes, so yes, this is about the Barrett's esophagus, guys. This is about the Barrett's esophagus. Okay, this is about Barrett's esophagus. I hope you all understood this. I hope you all understood this. Okay, and one more thing that I want to mention, I'll answer all your questions, guys. Just please wait for the time. Just let me complete this particular topic, and then I'll answer each and everything. Or you can ask me on the Telegram group as well. I will be answering there. Just first, let me complete the topic. Already 2 hours are going to finish, and I have not completed the reversible injury also. Just wait, beta. I'll be answering. I'm not reading the comments. I'm just focusing over here. So yes, we have already discussed the, yeah, Barrett's esophagus. And one more type you have to like understand. It is the epithelial metaplasia. Epithelial metaplasia, guys. And in epithelial metaplasia, remember we have, lungs. Lungs, they contain ciliated columnar cells. Columnar cells. Okay, or columnar epithelial cells. And due to smoking, these columnar cells, which are with cilia, okay, which are with cilia, they will change into squamous epithelial cells. They will change into squamous epithelial cells. They will change into squamous epithelial cells. So, in which cells they are changed? So, the name accordingly, it is squamous metaplasia. It is the squamous metaplasia. It is squamous metaplasia. And one question that has been asked in the exam, put a dollar sign over here. It is the most common example of epithelial metaplasia in lungs. Epithelial metaplasia in lungs. Epithelial metaplasia in lungs. So it is the most common example of epithelial metaplasia in lungs. So this is also has been asked. Barrett's esophagus में squamous is changing into columnar. Epithelial metaplasia में ciliated columnar cells are changing into squamous epithelial cells, now known as the squamous metaplasia, and that is the most common example of epithelial metaplasia in lungs. I hope this is clear to each and everyone. All the four types in cellular adaptation, bache, I hope it's clear to each and everyone. I have discussed hypertrophy, atrophy, hyperplasia, metaplasia. Cell adaptations done for today. I have discussed cell adaptations. I have discussed manifestations of cell injury. I have discussed the various causes of cell injury or the etiological agents along with the types of hypoxia, that is the most common cause of cell injury or the etiological agent, the cell organelles which are affected during cell injury, and the concept of cell injury. Now, in the next class, I will be discussing the reversible and the irreversible cell injury. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. You learned with me. Okay. If you guys have any doubt, bache, if you have any doubts, you can just text me on my number. This is my personal number. You can just text me if you have any questions. Okay, you have any questions. I hope you all enjoyed the session. So please don't forget to share the video with your friends. They can also benefit from it. And I hope you all are ready for the next session, guys. Osama, प्लीज ये सब कमेंट्स में देना ना बाहर, अभी तो किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा लाइव चैट में. तो यस, चलो, perfect. Bye guys, I hope happy Deepavali to each one of you, and you have any doubts, you can ask me on this particular number. I will be happier to address it. Okay, and Yeah, notes will be provided in the Telegram group. I'll ask her to upload it. Okay. So I hope you all enjoyed the session, and please like the video. And if you really appreciate it, just share it with your friends as well. And we'll meet you again in the next class. Thank you, bache. God bless you. Good night. Happy Deepavali. Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali. Deepavali. Okay. Okay. Perfect, sir. Beta. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed beta. I hope. So I'll be completing the reversible and irreversible in the next class with MCQ questions with clinical cases. I will be discussing in the next part. Okay. Today was a general introduction. Okay. And from next class, I will be focusing more on questions and yeah. So yes, please just mention in the comment section. I'll be happier to see afterwards. Okay, beta. Perfect. Good night. Good night, everyone.